All right, chaps, today I'm talking to you about the fit hierarchy because I want you to understand that there is a hierarchy when it comes to the fit of your clothing. What comes first, what comes second, what comes third, what comes fourth, fifth, etc. Right? Because let's be honest, every man who doesn't know what they're doing has stood in a changing room and asked the same question. Is this shirt too tight? Are these trousers too loose? Is it meant to sit like that, right? And because nobody ever gave him an answer most of the time, especially if he doesn't know what he's doing, no idea what he's doing, he's guessing. And he's been guessing his whole life. Here's what nobody's told you. Fit isn't one question, it's 5. And they are not equally important. There's an order. Get the top of the order right and people will swear your clothes are expensive. Get it wrong and nothing else you do matters, right? Not the brand, not the price, not the color. I'm going to show you, or I'm giving you the fit hierarchy, the 5 zones of fit ranked by how much they actually matter, what right looks like in each one, and the order to fix them in, okay? By the end of this, you'll walk into any changing room and you'll know in 10 seconds whether a garment deserves your money. No more guessing, capiche? Right, so fit beats everything. And now here is the hierarchy. But before we discuss the hierarchy itself, you need to believe and understand one thing because everything else hangs off of it. Fit beats fabric, the fit beats the brand, and fit absolutely destroys the price, okay? A $200 shirt that doesn't fit looks cheaper than a $40 shirt that does, okay? Every single time. People cannot see a label from across a room, but they can absolutely read a silhouette instantly, okay? And the silhouette is made by the fit and nothing else, right? So when someone looks expensive, 9 times out of 10, you're not looking at expensive clothes, you're looking at clothes that fit and fit the guy's body and fit well. And here's why that's true. It's just how our eyes work, right? Before your brain registers a single detail about color, fabric, brand, etc., it takes an overall shape of the man, okay? That happens in about less than a second, and the verdict from that shape colors everything that comes after it, okay? If we're talking clean lines, clothes following the body, the brain files you under sharp before it's clocked anything else, okay? But if it sees bunched fabric, pulling buttons, pulling hems, so like when the hems bunch up at your shoes, your brain files you under sloppy, and now even your expensive pieces are working uphill against a first impression that already landed. And the hierarchy, well, this is why the hierarchy matters, okay? Because most men spread their fit attention evenly, or worse, they spend it in the wrong places entirely, okay? You'll agonize over whether the shirt color suits you or the seam sits on your shoulder, hangs halfway down your arm. You're polishing details on a foundation that's already broken. The 5 zones aren't equal. Some of them, the whole room reads instantly, okay? Some barely anyone notices, right? And knowing the ranking means you fix things in order that actually move the needle, right? So let's get into it. Starting at the top, we're looking at shoulders, right? And the top is worth more than the other 4 combined. The shoulders are the foundation that everything else is built on. Okay, if we're talking shirts and we're talking jackets, anything like that, the shoulder seam of anything you wear up top is meant to sit right at the corner of your shoulder, okay? The bony edge of where your shoulder ends and your arm begins. Seam on the bone, done. If the seam hangs down onto your arm, the garment's too big and you look like you are a boy wearing your dad's clothes. But if it's pulled up onto your shoulder or your trap, it's too small and everything strains. That one seam position decides more about how you look than any other single thing you'll check today. And kind of recapping, think about, here's your shoulder bone, right, the end of your shoulder. That's where that seam for the shirt needs to sit, okay? It can't be up here, it can't be down here, okay? That's where it needs to sit. Right now, why do shoulders outrank everything? 2 reasons. First, they're the frame of your silhouette, okay? The entire upper body hangs off this line, okay? Especially if we think about the V that we're trying to create in shirting and jacketing that helps you create that sort of like nice V taper that we want, okay? When the shoulders sit right, the chest, the torso, the arms all fall into place beneath them. And when they don't, everything else below inherits the error. The garment drapes off the wrong point and no amount of tucking or adjusting downstream can rescue it, okay? Now, second, and this is the practical reason, they're number 1, shoulders are the one zone you actually cannot fix, right? A tailor can take in the waist, he can shorten the sleeve, he can hem a trouser, that's all cheap, that's all easy. But moving a shoulder seam means rebuilding the entire shirt or garment which costs normally more than the garment itself, okay? So there's absolutely no point in trying to get this thing adjusted. You might as well just go get a new piece. Wrong shoulders isn't a flaw, it's a death sentence. Bye-bye, capiche, Felicia. Bye, Felicia, you're done, right? So here's your rule, and it's beautifully simple. In the shop, check the shoulders first, okay? Before price, before color, before anything. The seam sits on the bone and the garment's alive. Then you need to keep assessing the other points. But if it's off the bone in either direction, put it back and move on to another piece or the right size, or just walk away, because it doesn't matter if it's 70% off price-wise. You're not getting a bargain. You're paying money for a silhouette that will never be right, okay? This is the one major check applied without mercy, okay? And it will save you more money and more bad purchases than anything else ever did in this video combined. So shoulders first, always. Okay, now number 2, and I find this strange, but I feel like it's the one that surprises everyone, okay? And that is your trouser break. A lot of men get your trouser break just horribly fucking wrong, and I don't know why. To explain what the break is, the break is what happens where your trouser hem meets your shoe, okay? If we've got my man Wolfgang here, you've got your trouser, then you've got your shoe, okay? It's one of the loudest signals on your whole body. Too much fabric down here, and it stacks and pulls around your ankles like a deflated accordion, okay? Think about a bunch of fabric just completely bunched up around your shoe. I promise you that pulling is what's making outfits look off, and you can't diagnose why. Now, if it's too short, it looks like you're bracing for a flood, or you're like walking through like a flood of water, okay? There's a window in the middle, and hitting it changes how every pair of trousers you own reads. Here's what right looks like in plain terms. You want something between what's called no break and slight break. No break means the hem just kisses the top of the shoe with a clean, unbroken line down the leg, okay? That's the sharpest, it's the most modern. A slight break means one soft single fold. So think about the fold of your hems. You see a lot of fellas' trousers, they'll have like a fold. It'll be generally about a 1 inch, okay? So a slight break means that there's about a 1 inch gap where the hem meets the shoe, okay? It's a touch more relaxed, it's still clean, right? What you never want is fabric bunching up in stacks on top of the shoe. That's not relaxed, it's unfinished. And it shortens your legs visually. If you think about the silhouette we're trying to create, the reason that we pull our trousers up to the natural waist is to elongate 2/3 at the bottom to give us a nice long look, right? But if you have trousers that are pulling at the bottom, you instantly shorten your leg. It makes you look shorter. Understand that a clean break makes the leg line longer, and a longer leg line makes every man look taller and look slimmer. Think about it, it's free height, especially if you're a short man, sitting at your ankles, and most men leave it on the floor, literally, okay? They'll have it pulling up literally on the floor and they look stupid, okay? Now, here's why the break earns the number 2 slot. It's the exact opposite of the shoulders, okay? Shoulders are unfixable. So you check them ruthlessly before buying, all right? The break actually is the cheapest, easiest fix in all of menswear, right? Any tailor, any dry cleaning with a hemming service, it's small money, it's 20 minutes of their time, and every pair of trousers you own comes back transformed, okay? Which means there's really no excuse for a bad break. It's really straightforward. Go into your tailor now, or go into your dry cleaner, etc., and get your trousers taken up to the correct length. No excuse for a bad break, none. It's the highest return on effort move that you can do, okay? It's in this entire hierarchy, to be honest. One cheap, easy errand, run across your wardrobe, and your entire lower half is permanently upgraded. Off the rack trousers, understand this, off the rack trousers are cut so long on purpose so it fits everyone, right? Because trousers off the rack, clothing off the rack is never designed to fit a single body shape. It's trying to catch, it's like a catch-all. Most men are just never told. Now you have been, okay? Right, and number 3, now I'm moving down the body, is to the middle of your body, your torso. And when we talk the torso, it's how a shirt or tee or jacket sits through your chest and the middle. And the reason this one causes so much fuss or grief is that men keep treating it as a choice between 2 evils, okay? You're either too tight, and especially if you're wearing a button up, your buttons are pulling, okay? The fabric's straining across your chest, every contour on display, or it's too loose, right? It looks like a sail of spare cloth billowing out around the middle and behind you, okay? Most men are scared of one, run straight into the arms of the other. Okay, they're either going too big or they're going too tight, right? The skinny bloke will drown himself generally in loose fabric to hide thin, and the bigger bloke does the exact same thing to hide his size, okay? And both end up looking bigger and more shapeless than they actually are, because spare fabric doesn't hide a body, it becomes the body. Here's what right looks like though. The fabric should follow your torso without touching the whole way around, okay? Close but not clinging. The test is simple, really, and it takes 2 seconds. It's the pinch. Grab the fabric at the side of your shirt, at your ribs. You want to be able to pinch somewhere around 5 centimeters of cloth or a couple of inches, okay? Much more than that hanging in your fingers, it means it's too big. If you can barely pinch anything, it's too small. And check the buttons while you're there. Any pulling across the chest when you stand, right? If you've got buttons here, right, and there's literally like pulls across the chest here when these buttons are done up, your shirt's too small, okay? You need to go up a size or get a different cut. The torso should skim you, not shrink wrap you, okay? Not tent you. Now, why does this sit third below the shoulders and the braid? Because it's half fixable, and that changes the buying maths, okay? A tailor can take a shirt or a jacket in through the sides. It can also do pleats in the back, to be transparent. It can do that easily and cheaply too. So slightly too loose in the torso on a garment with perfect shoulders, you can absolutely buy your one small alteration from Ideal, okay? But understand this, too tight is unfixable. There's no spare cloth to let out. So tight falls in the shop just like bad shoulders do. The rule is shoulders right, torso right, or slightly loose, buy. But if the shoulders are right and the torso is too tight, walk away, don't buy. You're starting to see how the hierarchy turns shopping into a checklist instead of a move. Now we've got 2 zones left, sleeves and collar, okay? And they're the ones where most men's attention has been hiding all along, right? If we talk about the sleeves, there's 2 sections that I'm gonna talk about, okay? And this is where details start earning their keep. Long sleeves first, right? Old mate with his long sleeve here. And this is where the money is, right? A shirt sleeve should end right where your palm meets your wrist, at the base of your thumb. A jacket sleeve should sit slightly shorter than that. So somewhere between 1/4 and 1/2 of an inch of a shirt cuff shows past the jacket. That's the rule. So if this gentleman was wearing an actual jacket, right? And we've got his big peak lapel here, and then he's wearing a jacket. You've got the end of the shirt here, right? And then his jacket finishes like 1/4 of an inch above that. So that way you're seeing the bottom of your shirt hem, long shirt sleeve hem, which ends at the bottom of the wrist, the bottom of the thumb, okay? That little band of visible cuff it's one of the oldest sharp dressing signals there is. It says the 2 garments were measured to you and not grabbed off the rack. But sleeves swallowing your hands reads as boyish and just unkept. And then also sleeves ending halfway up your forearm, unless you're folding them, which is a completely different look, it reads like you've outgrown it, like you're too big for the shirt, okay? The wrist is the target. Now, short sleeves, they have their own rule, and it's pretty simple, right? You should know this, right? The hem should land halfway around the bicep, roughly between your shoulder and your elbow. If it's too far down the elbow, the tee wears you, okay? It drowns the arm and reads as sloppy. Now, I know that this is a trend, the oversized look, but you look fucking stupid, okay? But if it's cut too high around the armpit, it's either a muscle tee, which is, if that's actually what it is, and that's what it should be. It also looks like you're trying a bit too hard. It's like you're rolling up your sleeves to show your muscles a little bit, unless you're wearing a muscle top, which I am right now. So that's the difference. Anyway, mid bicep with a little room to sit clean around the arm. That's what works, whether your arms are big, thin, or anywhere between, okay? Because it's proportion doing the work and it's not muscle. The sleeves, they sit fourth because it's noticeable and it's fixable, okay? People do clock sleeve length, especially wrong sleeve length, but a tailor shortens sleeves cheaply and easily. So it's never a walk away in the shop, the way that the shoulders are, okay? Shirt sleeves, jacket sleeves, simple job, small money. The only caution is jacket sleeves with working buttonholes. If you get a jacket, generally they've got 4 buttons here, okay? The buttons that generally undo those cost more to shorten properly, okay? So it's worth asking before you buy an expensive jacket. Otherwise, the rule is simple. Buy for the shoulders, tailor the sleeves to the wrist, collect the sharpness. Right, now, we've got 1 rung left on the hierarchy fit ladder, okay? And I think you'll I don't know if you'll be a little bit surprised, but it's just an area that a lot of men don't even think about, okay, or they just don't notice. Right, number 5, the collar. All right, we're talking about the neck collar. And before you think last means ignore it, it doesn't. It means fix it last, okay? After the big 4 are handled, the collar is a detail, but it's a detail sitting 6 inches from your face, right where everyone looks when they talk to you, okay? So when it's wrong, the people closest to you are the ones who see it. Here's the check, and it's the easiest one in this whole hierarchy. Button the shirt to the top, like the top button, and slide 2 fingers between the collar and your neck. 2 fingers glide in with a bit of contact, as in like not too loose, not too tight, it's the right size, right? But if you have to force them in, if the collar's biting the neck, if there's skin folding over it, it means it's too tight. But if there's a large gap and you can do 3 or 4 fingers in there, etc., it means it's too big. The collar has one job that the others don't. It frames your face, okay? A collar that fits and sits flat holds its line and points cleanly toward the face doing the talking, okay? But if you've got a collapsing, curling collar, gaping collar that drags the eye away from your face and down to the mess, this matters whether the shirt's buttoned to the top with a tie or worn open on a Saturday. An open collar still needs structure, still needs to hold its shape against your chest instead of flopping around and giving up. I'm sure you've all seen it, unless it's a Cuban collar, which is designed to sit open. A shirt's collar dies the moment you undo a button, okay? The button was what was giving it structure and the button's gone, so now it's just flat, like it sits flat, okay? That's not a casual look, that's the collar that was never any good, okay? Now, that's the whole 5 of the ladder. Look at the shape of what you've now got. Shoulders, this is the unfixable foundation, checked first without any mercy. Then you've got the break. This is the cheapest transformation in menswear, right? You've got the torso, we're talking about the pinch and the buttons, making sure there's no pulling across the buttons. Then you've got the sleeves, the wrist, and the mid bicep, okay? The collar, 2 fingers, framing your face. 5 zones ranked, each one with a test that takes seconds. Now there's one section left, and it's the one that turns this from knowledge into a weapon, exactly what to do with this list next, okay? Or the next time you're standing in a shop with something in your hand. We're gonna turn this into a routine, okay? The exact sequence you run every single time you've got a garment in your hands from today onwards, okay? It goes in hierarchy order, top to bottom. It's brutal on purpose, okay? Shoulders first. Does the seam sit on the bone? If it does, keep going. If it's seam off the bone in either direction, all right, you stop, move on, get a different size shirt, etc. Back on the rack, okay? No matter the price, no matter how much you like the color, you've just saved yourself money and a wardrobe mistake in 3 seconds, yeah? Now we move to the fixable zones, and here's the question changes, right? You're no longer asking, is it perfect? You're asking if is it right or cheaply fixable, okay? Torso, run the pinch, check the buttons. Right or slightly loose, fine, italic and bring it in. Is it tight? Walk away from it. Sleeves at the wrist or long enough that a tailor can bring them to the wrist, that's absolutely fine. If it's too short, however, hard to do for a long sleeve shirt anyway. Trousers, don't stress the length in the shop at all. They're supposed to be hemmed to your trouser length, okay? Just get the waist and the seat right, okay? The waist here and the seat here. And the break is one cheap fix later, okay? The collar, 2 fingers. That's the whole routine. Simple as that. It takes 10 seconds, 5 checks in order, and you walk out every shop with things that fit or will fit for small money and nothing else. And look, here's the bigger truth about this that I'm gonna be leaving you with, okay? Because this video was never really about seams and hems, right? Fit is the great equalizer in menswear. It doesn't care what you earn, it doesn't care what brands you can afford, and it doesn't care what body you're working with. Every single thing in this hierarchy applies identically to every man at every budget, which means the man in well-fitted cheap clothes beats the man in ill-fitted expensive clothes every day in every room. Most men never learn this, okay? They keep buying by brand and by mood and wondering why nothing looks right. But you now have the actual system. Shoulders, break, torso, sleeves, collar. Fix them in that order, check them in that order, and every piece of clothing you ever buy from here on earns its place. Capiche? That's it, gents. Get some.